Okay, hello everyone. We have a crowd today. We are so excited to bring our first Tiger Talk of the fall 2024 semester. And of course, it's a hot topic, move in and more. We want everyone to be prepared for the move in for fall that's coming up starting August 19th. And we have some very special guests with us here. My name is Heather Hampton, and I'm the Assistant Director for Parent and Family Services. And I'll let Cade introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cade Forbes, and I'm the coordinator for Parent and Family Services.
And then we'll have our campus partners from Housing and Residence Life to introduce themselves.
Hey, hi, my name is Corey. I'm the Marketing and Outreach Coordinator for Housing and Residence Life.
And I am Ada Waddell. I am our Housing Systems Program Coordinator at Housing and Rest Life.
All right. So I know everyone has a lot of questions, and we have about 21 pre-submitted questions that we want to get through. But first, I would like to remind you, please mute your microphone if you haven't already. And if you have a question, we encourage you to type it in the chat, and we will try to address those questions too. So we'll go ahead and get started with sort of a fun, reflective question for our campus partners. We want to ask Ada and Corey what you did this summer that you would consider the most fun. Don't think too hard about it. They're like, wait a minute, we got to think about this.
Okay, so if we're going to go work related, I would say that I made it through my first summer of going to the new student orientation. So it was super fun interacting with all of the different incoming students and learning more about their interests and what they're looking for. Super exciting. And then more on a personal note, I had a milestone birthday this year and I had a 90s versus 2000s themed birthday party. And
Oh,
it was absolutely amazing. My cousin and I did the party together because we were born a day apart. So it was super fun.
that sounds fun.
Cool. Corey's so much more cool than I am. Let's see. Work related, I recently had a conference for our housing software that we use here. And it's a yearly conference, but this year it was out in Anaheim, California, and I got to hang out with the big, people inside suits, Mickey, Minnie, Daisy, and Donald. So that was fun.
Yeah, sounds fun. Wow. I wish we could have our conference at Disney World and Disneyland. That would be cool. Well, thank you all so much. So we'll go ahead and get started with our first question of the day. So, what days does move-in begin and end?
So we have a countdown. I think we're at about 13, maybe 12 days now. So move-in starts on Monday, August 19th. It is separated by day for the residence halls. So that Monday is Centennial Place, Tuesday the 20th is the Living Learning Complex or LLC, and then Wednesday would be Smith, Rawls, and South Halls. And if you're getting into the Lambeth campus, that's going to be on Thursday. And then Friday, we have our apartments with Carpenter Complex and Park Ave.
Awesome. Alrighty. The next question that we got was what will my student need for check-in when they arrive on campus?
All right, so they will need a valid university ID. Now, we understand that some students may not have picked up their campus card, and that's okay. And so, if you don't have it, then a state ID would do just fine. But we would prefer that you have your campus card or your university ID. You want to make sure that your required immunizations are done, and then make sure your housing contract is actually complete. Some people have in the past come up looking for housing and hadn't even done an application. So, you want to make sure that is complete, and then you must be enrolled as a full-time student.
Thank you. So we had a question that popped in the chat. How can I confirm my daughter completed her housing contract because she doesn't recall? So Ada was able to answer that in the chat. So is there someone they can call? Can they check in the portal? How does that work when they are not sure?
Yeah, if they're not sure, I mean, they can certainly check in the portal and it will let them know if they have completed that application. They can also call our main office and our front office team will be happy to look and confirm that for them.
Okay, would you
Yes, the
mind putting
best
that
way that
number
I
in the chat? That way, if anybody who needs to reach out will have that number.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the best way that I also tell students, because I get this question, or I got the question at the new student orientations, but if you go on our website, memphis.edu/reslife, you're going to see the tab that says apply for housing. You'll click apply for housing. It'll take you to the housing portal. You'll log in using your university credentials. Now, keep in mind, that's not going to be your entire email address. It'll be that first section. So, for example, my email address is cjjnes15@memphis.edu. I'm going to use that first part, the CJJNES15, and then the password that I created to log into the housing portal. Now, once I'm logged in, on the top left-hand side, there's that little hamburger menu that people call it. You click there and you'll be able to see any messages. The first message in there is going to be letting you know, thank you for completing your application. We've received it. And any messages after that are updates regarding your specific housing application.
Okay, thank you. So, moving on to the next question. My student needs to check in early. So, what should they do if they require an early check-in?
There is an early check-in request form. At this time, I cannot say for certain if we are still accepting early move-in requests. Looks like Ada's nodding her head no. So we are not accepting any more early move-in request forms at this time, but previously it would have been completing that form and then waiting for a member of our team to get back to you with that approval.
Perfect. Alrighty. So there's been a lot of rumors about this new move-in process. So could y'all just explain what is the new move-in process and what can they kind of expect with that?
All right. So this is a great question. Actually, the new move-in process is like a cruise ship style move-in. So if you've ever gone on a cruise before, you go and you check into the cruise, they take your bags and then you go out and you explore. And by the time you make it to your room, your bags are already in your room waiting for you. So that's similar to what we're doing here. So what's going to happen is you'll pack all of your belongings into secured boxes. You're going to label your boxes with your name, your student ID number, and your room number. And then when you come to check in, you'll drive through. There are going to be volunteers that help unload your vehicle. They're going to place your boxes into a moving cart. And we have those dimensions on our website and also posted to Instagram today. They will they will put your boxes into those moving carts and then they're going to take them up to your room. And so by the time you and your family park, your items should be at your room waiting for you to just unload and decorate.
Well, I wish it was that easy when I lived on campus. That sounds like a pretty smooth process. So, not a lot of waiting around. Your stuff will be right there for you in your room.
And just to also chime in on items that may be too large to go in those bins that we can't get to. So we're going to take those bins up. So ideally, you want to focus on the things that can go into those moving carts, and we'll get that up to your room, and then you can park. But if you had anything additional that needed to go, it would just have to go later in the day, or you would have to do that on your own. So we're not going to take big furniture items in, but we will take the things that can go inside of those moving carts. So if it can go in the moving cart, then we can get it in there and take it up.
Okay, well, that's good information to know. So just keep in mind the dimensions of what you have. We have a question in the chat. Is this information available on the website as far as remembering what they need to label their boxes with and the
Yes, so
dimensions?
it is available on our website. So if you go on memphis.edu/reslife, oftentimes I tell people if you forget what our specific page is, memphis.edu, the search tool in the top right hand corner is very helpful. You can search move-in information, you can search housing and residence life, whatever it may be. It will bring you to our web page, and there is a tab that says move-in information. And on that tab, you can find the dimensions of that moving cart. You can find the information about what you need to prepare. You can also find move-in maps that are going to tell you where to go on the day of.
And from my recollection from last year, the moving carts are pretty spacious. They can hold a lot of things, but if you just have large furniture items, that's what you're saying. They have to wait till later or do that on their own.
So the dimensions of the cart are 39 inches by 28 by 35. That's length by width by height. So 39, 28, 35. And again, that's on the website, so you can find that information. And then additionally on our website, I also posted a link that takes you to the website for those moving carts. And you can see like the videos and everything of how they're made and stuff, so you can get a
Okay.
better feel for it.
That's good. That's good. So, when a student is assigned a roommate, how are they able to get in touch with that roommate to maybe coordinate who's going to bring a refrigerator or whatever it is they need to coordinate, or just to meet and connect with the person that they're going to be sharing spaces with?
Yes, so getting into that housing portal is super important. So remember those instructions. You can go on our website, select apply for housing, go to that housing portal. Now, once you get there, there's a link that says select assignment and roommate information. And then you can see your roommate information is going to have their first and last name, and then it gives you an option to contact them as well. And a lot of times, if you have not been checking your messages, other students already know how to go and reach out to their roommate. So you may have some messages where the roommate is trying to talk to you.
Awesome. So be sure to check those, everyone. The next question says, if my student wants to change their assigned room, how do they go about doing that?
So earlier in the summer, we did have a room change request form that opened up. We are now past that period and we are unsure if we're going to open up that again. But if they do not open up the option again, once you get settled into your room, there is an option to do a room change request form. Now, this is based on valid need. So you're going to have a valid reason. It can't just be because, well, I thought my roommate was going to be this person and it's not. No, there has to be a valid reason. You submit that request, a member on our team will review it, and then if there is availability, they can change your room. Now, you only get one room change request that's free of cost. Anything after that is $75.
That's very good to know. Can freshmen have single dorm rooms, or are they required to have a double? Or I don't know if there's more than double at this institution, but
No, we do not have more than double. I've been hearing about people in their four to a room. We're not doing that. We got two. But our single room accommodations are given first priority to students with disabilities. So if you are a student that has a disability, it must be registered with our Disability Resources for Students, or DRS. And once they have that disability registered, if it is a disability that requires a single room accommodation, they will send that information over to us, and then we will try to make that accommodation. Now, keep in mind that is on a first come, first serve basis. So in the event that we are out of single rooms, then we may not be able to make that accommodation, but we do our best based off our availability and the student need. And then at that point, if we do not have any more students with disabilities that need single rooms and there were some available, then we have a wait list, and we can pull from that wait list to say, hey, we have this single room accommodation available. Do you still want it? And then we can go from there. Now, once you get to your upperclassmen years, then you can try to get into the apartments, and the apartments do have single rooms. But right now, that policy is just that it's going priority to our students with disabilities.
Awesome. Good to know. Our next question is, can students get items shipped to the university ahead of their move-in date?
Unfortunately, we do not have anywhere for students to store items if they are not here. So that wouldn't work on this end. And then I don't know how the mail services works, and I'm sure that's something that's set up once you're moved in and in place. And so with that being said, they probably wouldn't have anywhere for it to go either.
so what she's saying, parents, is do not ship items ahead of time because we can't guarantee that they will be received where they need to. But students do have the option to get a campus postal station, which is like kind of like a PO box, and then they can begin receiving items. But that's once they've moved in and been settled and assigned that campus postal station box. We have another question in the chat. Ms. Kia is asking to confirm the room number for the students has already been assigned, right? So she's thinking about having to label the students' items and things like that. They would need to know their room number, so that's been assigned.
Correct, which you can also find in your housing portal.
Okay, all right. So make sure you check your housing portal for that room number and include that on every box that you have that's going to be given to volunteers at Move In. The next question, let's see, are there certain items or appliances that students cannot bring into the residence halls? I know in our new student orientation guest and parent sessions, one of the questions is about air fryers in particular, but anything like space heaters, toasters, irons, those, what kind of things should they leave at home?
So you cannot have anything that has an open heat or flame source. So if you have a toaster or a toaster oven that has an open heat source, you cannot have that. You cannot have candles, no air fryers, because when you think about an air fryer, when you pull that piece out, it creates all that heat that's coming out of it, and that can set off our detector. So you don't want to have that. You cannot have coffee makers that have burners on them, no hot plates. So nothing that has an open heat or flame source. But you can have a microwave. You can have an iron that has an automatic shutoff. You can have a Keurig style coffee maker. So those are things. And if you wanted something with a scent, but you can't have candles, you can have a plug-in. No wax warmers, but you can have a plug-in.
Awesome. Those are really good things because I know a lot of people love to think they can bring just about anything. So it's good to know, the specifics of what they can and can't. So the next question is, as far as room decor, can my student, I don't know why I keep getting tongue-tied on that word, put up removable wallpaper or hang photos and posters?
So I'm gonna go with the photos and posters first. You can hang those, and you should do it with command strips or command hooks so that you can easily pull that little tab and remove that without messing anything up. Now, when you get to that removable or that adhesive wallpaper, that's when you want to be careful. So in places like Smith and Ross Hall, they have like the cement walls, those you can put that on there and it'll be easier to peel off. But when you're somewhere like the Living Learning Complex or Centennial Place where the walls are painted, that adhesive wallpaper could be kind of risky to do. So you're thinking about that. You don't want to be responsible for having to cover the cost of removing this wall, moving the paint off the walls or things like that. So you want to be mindful when you get into that adhesive wallpaper. But what I have seen, if you want a good substitution, people take like it's not a blanket, but think about the material of like a flag. So it's kind of
Oh,
light
yeah,
and
like a
they have
tapestry.
those tapers. Yeah, exactly. You can take those and you can hook those up onto the wall, and that can give you that decorum that you may be looking for.
Yeah, I've seen some fancy things out there, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, is this allowable? So the next question that a family member has asked, and this one I think is pretty common that I see, where can families see the dimensions of the student space as they're planning to figure out how much they can bring or what types of furniture or shelving and things like that? How can they see the dimensions of the space?
So if you go on our website, memphis.edu/reslife, you can click on residence halls. And for each residence hall, with the exception of the apartments, you can see the dimensions of the rooms. And you can also scroll down a little, and we have video tours that link you to Instagram, and it gives you a video perspective of the room. And of course, there are pictures of the rooms as well. But those dimensions, they're listed on the specific web page for the residence hall.
Thank you.
Awesome. And we also we got another question in the chat. It's about air fryers. So it says no air fryers whatsoever, or is it okay if it has an auto shut off? So a little bit more clarification on that.
No air fryers whatsoever, because you have to think of the heat that's coming when you pull out that pan and all of that. So none whatsoever.
Cool, cool, cool. Alrighty. So our next question that we had submitted was, is there anything that we could bring? So like wagons, dollies, etc., to move in, and then what are the best tips for move in?
I'll let Ada tackle this one.
So wagons, dollies, and other tips for moving. So again, most things are going to be going in those carts that we have. So most of those things, as far as dollies, wagons, such, hopefully will be unnecessary unless you are moving in, like Corey said, later on, an additional large item. We do at the front desk of our residence halls, not at the apartment complexes that are more spread out, but at the residence halls, we do have some like dolly type cart things that can be very short term, temporarily rented out. Um, and use those if you're needing that assistance, but otherwise it would just be as an personal judgment as needed basis based on what you're bringing in. I will say that our units are furnished on regular housing, and so the need to bring a lot of larger furniture is really usually not in your best interest because you don't have a lot of space apart from what we already have there to work with.
That's good. Corey, any other tips or anything that families should remember to bring? I know one of our we usually do parent panels during new student orientation, and one of our parents, she whipped out a giant. It looks like Saran wrap, like the plastic wrap that you would wrap a pallet of stuff with. And she was like, everybody needs one of these. And then another parent was like, everybody needs Ziplocs, and, just little things that would help the move-in process, or at least the decorating process, be a little smoother.
Well, with that, I think a lot of people forget about the surge protector power strips. Get multiple power strips because you're going to have, if you bring your microwave and fridge, they'll be plugged into one that's separate. But what about if you're trying to plug something near your bed that's not going to be right beside your microwave and fridge? So those power strips are super, super helpful. Maybe having a broom. I always recommend having those Lysol wipes or something just so you can wipe things down, spray your area down, whatever you want to do. Think just the small things that people forget like that.
That's good. That's good. So, switching gears a little bit, some parents want to know what type of parking options are going to be available for residents who bring vehicles to campus.
Right. So if you check out our parking services website, parking passes are already available for purchase. Now, all students will get a general parking pass, and that will give them access to general parking lots around mostly the outskirts of campus and like those parking garages. But when you get into priority, you're going to need something else. Or if you want a residential parking pass, which is giving you parking that is closest to your residence hall, then that's an additional $40 per semester. And so you would purchase that through parking services. Just go on the parking services site, and they also have a map of all of the parking lots around the university. The residential ones are typically purple on the map. And so parking is not included in the general parking pass for students at all. It is the residential parking is always going to be an additional cost. So even if you're living in Centennial Place, even though you can see that parking lot right across that's residential, it's an additional cost, and you would purchase that through parking services. And again, they have a map that you can go and look at, and you'll see the residential lots are purple, and then you will pick the residential lot that you want access to, and that'll be the parking lot that your parking pass will give you access to.
Perfect. So you kind of answered that question that was put into the chat as well.
Okay, can I interject real quick? Because I have a
Yeah,
question. It's kind of a direct message question, but it was related to the move-in. They want to know if there an elevator in Centennial Place, and then they needed to move a mini fridge, and they weren't sure if that's something that they should plan and prepare to move themselves, or is that something that the volunteers would be able to transport and move, a mini fridge?
So we do have dollies that we may be able to place the fridge on. As far as I'm aware, what we have in place that will unload the vehicle, and we do have multiple carts that can be used. And so if we can take that box and fit it into the cart, then we will, or we can grab that dolly. And this goes back to your question about what additional could they bring. And Ada said, if they feel like they wanted to. So if you felt like you wanted to move your fridge yourself, you could have a dolly where you can throw that fridge on there. Centennial Place does have elevators, but on our move-in day, we're going to have these ramps set up that go over our main stairs, and you can take that ramp up and then go over to the elevator.
Thank you.
Awesome. All righty. Our next question touches on safety a little bit. So it said, what measures is the university and housing and residence life taking to keep residents and their vehicles safe?
Okay, so this question, I want to break it down a bit. So we're going to start with how housing, what we do to protect you as Tigers. So housing, our residence halls are key card access. So your campus ID, your campus card, that's going to be your key to get into the building. So you're going to swipe to get into the building. Now, once you get into the building, each residence hall has a front desk that is staffed 24/7. You're going to hand your ID to the desk assistant working the desk. They're going to swipe to make sure that you live there, and then you can go to your respective wing or floor. Now, if you're in a residence hall that has a wing, once you get over to your wing, you have to swipe again to get into it. If you're somewhere that has pod style, once you get onto your floor, you have to swipe again to get into your specific pod. And then, of course, once you get over to your room, you're swiping again to get into your room. So all of these are measures of security to make sure that you have access to where you're going, and only you're going to be able to get to the places that you need to go to. And then additionally, we have on-call staff members that are available 24/7 in case you do have an after-hours emergency or something like that. We have our campus police department that is an actual police department, just as the Memphis Police Department is. And so you will call them if you ever had any emergency. And so that's kind of where we are with the housing side. Now, when we get into the university, again, we got the campus police department, and then we also have Tiger Patrol. Those are students that volunteer as escorts. They can escort you to from one place on campus to another if it's later in the evening and you don't feel comfortable walking alone. And then I reached out to police services because I just wanted a little more information about what we're doing overall as a university. And the best answer is that we have a layered approach. And so officers are being more visible in all of our parking lots. We have an increased visual footprint by updating and expanding installation of our camera system. And we have a third-party security company called Walden's that is also here for more visibility. And then we have a proactive relationship with the Memphis Police Department. And then just something that we're working through in the upcoming weeks, there's going to be a new real-time crime center that will come online. And so all the cameras on campus will feed into one location for that monitoring. So some information that's there for you.
Yeah, sounds like they're doing a lot of good things to keep our students safe. So that's always important. So I appreciate that. Just knowing some of those updates are happening, and that progress is being made to keep our students and residents safe. So this next question that a parent submitted, are students required to have a meal plan if they live on campus?
Now, while it is highly recommended, it is not required to have a meal plan. But all students must purchase a Tiger Eats plan if they don't have a meal plan. And so Tiger Eats is not a meal plan, but what it is a $350 declining balance that's added to your campus card. So it's available for you, like if you wanted to go and just grab like a quick bite in one of the little stores in the UC, you can do that with that $350 declining balance. And for that, you would check Dine at UofM for more information.
Awesome. Alrighty. Our next question is my student required to move out at the end of the semester?
So your housing contract should have been for the fall and spring semester. So for the 2024 through 25 academic year, the only time you would have to move out is if you were withdrawing from the university or if you were graduating. Otherwise, you would be staying on campus. You do not have to move out during spring break, fall break, winter break, but you move out once you reach the end of the spring semester.
Great. Does the university provide storage for students' belongings in between those semesters or during those longer breaks? Like for instance, winter break. They don't have to move out, or maybe at the end of the academic year, as you mentioned, if a student needs storage where they live far away and they don't want to lug all the stuff back to whatever state they came from. How does the university handle that, or does it provide that service at all?
So remember, fall break, winter break, spring break, those breaks in the middle of the year, you do not have to leave campus. You do not have to move out. So all of your belongings are still fine in your room. But once you move out at the end of the spring semester, we do not offer any sort of storage options. Now, from a personal perspective, if you are looking to store things here while you're away, I would recommend finding a storage unit that is temperature controlled. That's my biggest recommendation there. But as far as the university goes, we do not have any connections to any storage units.
Gotcha. Good to know. Our next question is, does my student need to complete a new contract for the spring semester? So you kind of touched on that a little bit with the fall and spring contracts. We can kind of skip over that one because basically that's a no, correct?
Right.
Correct.
Okay, so we'll skip over that one. So you're in for the long run for fall and spring until for the next academic year. So the next question then is, what opportunities do students have to meet other residents?
So there are so many things going on around campus. It's really hard to answer that question, but I guess when you're first moving in, you're going to have a meeting with your resident advisor and the students that live on that floor. So that's an opportunity to meet students. You're going to see students that are hanging out. We have the university weeks of welcome. So there's going to be so many different events going on around campus. It's really hard to name anything in particular. There's just going to be a lot going on, and they can check. Oh wow, the app just slipped my
Tiger
mind just that
Zone,
quick. There we
Tiger
go,
Zone,
Tiger Zone.
yeah.
So all of your events are going to be uploaded there, so you can see the community that's around the university. You'll be able to see all those events. There are so many options to choose from, and different things going around in the residence halls too.
Awesome. So, students, parents, tell your students, encourage them to get out of those rooms and start networking and talking and meeting people because there's a lot going on for them, and a lot of opportunity for them to start to build those friendships that they can have for a lifetime. This next question, can students have visitors or even overnight guests?
So we do have a visitation policy, and you can have visitors Sunday through Thursday from 12 p.m. until 12 a.m., and then Friday and Saturday from 12 p.m. until 2 a.m. Your visitors must be checked in at the front desk, and very, very important that they are checked out as well. A lot of people skip that process because the check-in part, because they can't get in without you. So you go and you get them in and you check them in, and that's great. But a lot of people forget to check out and they let their guests walk out without them. No, you have to go and check your guests out as well to avoid any policy violations. Now, you can have overnight guests. Your overnight guests must be of the same sex. And then there's a form to be completed at the front desk for approval for their guests to stay overnight.
Awesome. Alrighty. So our last question, unless we get another one in the chat, is pretty pressing. So it says, are there still available spaces to live on campus this fall?
Yes, but we are very, very limited as far as our availability goes. So as of earlier this week, we're about 96 to 97% occupied on campus. And some of those spaces are, like Corey mentioned, some of those reserved spaces for things like disability purposes and other things like that. So very few spaces. However, we are still working through contacting students and confirming with students that maybe applied a long time ago and have since, decided that they're no longer coming or don't need housing. And as we process those things to remove those people from housing, that does open up some space. So if you are still looking for housing and have not applied, I encourage you to do so as soon as possible. And if you're currently on our wait list, which is not very long, hopefully we will have you taken care of in about the next week or so.
All right, so there you have it. We thank you all so much for your questions, for your answers. They're very thoughtful. You gave a lot of good tips and advice too that we didn't even think about. So we appreciate you all taking the time to help our families get ready for move in. And I hope that you all feel supported, and we hope that you all take these questions and answers and can plan accordingly so that you have a smooth move in process for you and your student. I do have a couple of announcements that I want to make if I can figure out how. Oh, here we are. So, Parent and Family Weekend, I did want to put that on everybody's mind. That is September 27th through the 29th. This year, we're excitedly planning for that. We've got 3 days full of activities, fun events, tailgates, mojo tours, mingles. We've got all kind of things happening that weekend, and we want your family to be a part of that. So registration is open. You can go to the Parent and Family website, click on events, and you'll see Parent and Family Weekend right there, and you can register. You and your family members, your student will get in free once you register. So we encourage you to be a part of that. Don't miss out. Don't miss out. Register and be a part of Parent and Family Weekend. Also, we have our Send Some Love bundles that are on sale now. You can also access that order form on our website so that you can have us prepare care packages for your students to be distributed at 2 different times throughout the semester. And then we'll be at Move In. So we're excited. We love connecting with families and parents and aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, cousins, whoever you consider your family to be. So we'll be at Centennial Place on Monday the 19th. We'll be at the LLC on Tuesday, August 20th, and then at Smith and Rawls on Wednesday, August 21st. So if those are your facilities, then we encourage you to stop by our table. We'll have some snacks and some free drinks and information and be able to connect with you if you want to learn more about joining the Parent and Family Association. We'd love to connect with you during move-in. So that's all the announcements that I had. Did you all have any announcements or anything that you wanted to leave with our families before we end this session?
I would just say to make sure that you all are checking out our website for any updates. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at UofM Res Life. And remember, like I said, I just posted something on Instagram today or Twitter too. So there's some information that's going there. And then make sure that your student knows to check their university email. A lot of times we have students that are missing out on information because they're like, well, I didn't get it, or they're trying to log into their housing portal using information that is not university affiliated. So we're not using Gmail, Yahoo, AOL, none of that. We're using the university email for that official communication.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We thank all of you for taking the time out to be a part of this. We will record this and put this on our YouTube channel, which will go live at 6 p.m. Central Time tonight, and then be on there forever for you all to access and reference at your leisure. But we thank you for attending this Tiger Talk, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one, September 10th. We'll be working with student leadership and involvement so your student can know how to get involved. So we thank you again, and we hope everyone has a great rest of your day, and we'll see you at Move In. Thank you.